Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. I've got my buddy Daruk here. He was our very first ball python as adults. We got him just after, I think it was a couple days after New Year's 2020. So he's 4 years old now, which is crazy for us to think about. But we got him from our good friends over at BHB, and he has been the best friend that I probably could ask for. He never ceases to make me smile. Um, but I've got him with me tonight, and we're going to go over just some things. We had some questions asked about what we do for like husbandry and feeding, and maybe talking about some genetics. So we'll see about doing some of that. Um, yeah, we'll kick it off. So I feel like one of the biggest things that people usually question me with, even at shows, is substrates. And I feel like that's one of those things that it really just kind of depends on your home or wherever you're keeping the snakes, even down to just what state you live in. Some states are naturally more humid than others. We here in Michigan have really dry winters because of the heat being on. So usually in the winters, we struggle with keeping humidity where it belongs. I've tried using like the cocoa, the Reptichip, all those, and I ran into a lot of issues with mold and a lot of dust. How that happens, I don't know. But I liked them for a while, but then decided to start branching out. And I ended up going with the 100% pure cypress that I can just get from Menards. And it is a 50-pound bag, I believe. And it's $5. And it's basically the same as the forest floor. Holds humidity really well for me here. I know other people, like over in New York and I think down in Texas, have really good luck with it too. And it's more affordable. I mean, to me, that's the winner right now, this day and age. Um, so that's what we use. I'll show a picture of it here in a second. Well, we do spot cleans as needed. And then typically once a month or so, we'll go through and do deep cleans of all the tubs. Um, Sometimes if they need it sooner than that, I'm not against doing it sooner, because some of them do like to turn into Picassos here and there, so they'll get a good scrub down. Along with the spot cleans, we also do fresh water once a week, if not more, if it's needed. Um, and then we mist with our, just like a garden mister, um, to keep the substrate where we want it. I try to keep the general temp here in the snake room around 78 to 83. It does vary a little bit depending on what Michigan decides to do outside each day. Right now, I'm nervous to even keep my heater running in here just because today it was 60, tomorrow it could be 15, and then back up to 70 the following day. So it's hard right now to really judge where to keep the heat, but that's where I try to keep it. Try to keep the humidity in here around 40 to 50, and then I mist the tubs as needed to keep the humidity around 60 to 70 as needed. I try to tailor each animal's feeding routine to their body condition and how they're doing. Um, we like to go by the rodent size being 10% of the animal's weight. So if they're, let's say, 300 grams, then we'll do a 30-gram rodent, or something that will leave just a slight bump in their belly. When it comes to the rodents that we feed, we do a mixture of mice, rats, and ASF. We produce all our own. My parents have a rat shed, so we just are mostly out there every day of the week taking care of the rodents, and that's been an interesting adventure, to say the least, but it's nice to know what our rodents are eating. You know, we know how they're cared for, not saying that anyone mistreats, but we know that they've had happy lives, they've eaten the best that they can eat, and we know what's going into our snakes. As handy as the online sales are for getting them, it takes a lot of stress off my plate knowing everything about what's going into my snakes and knowing that they'll be just as healthy. So let's get into some genetics. I don't know quite where to go with it, but we'll show some stuff off, and if you guys have questions, just let me know, and we can do that in the next video and go from there. I do think both of our females have ovulated now. So I think Naboris here ovulated back on the 28th of February. So hopefully we'll be looking for a prelay on her here soon. And Miss Urbosa also has been looking pretty thick. Not sure if I missed hers or not, but she and Naboris have been neck and neck, so who knows? We shall see, I suppose. So this is Nadra. She is very neat in terms of her genetics and her coloring. She's changed a lot in the time that I've had her, which is, goodness, been 3 or 4 years too. Good man, time flies. So she is a bamboo albino black pastel, possibly yellow belly, and I just love how she's gotten these freckles of just orange as she's aged, and her tail, the contrast on her tail is just so beautiful. She's usually not a fan of me, so I was surprised she stayed here that long. But so that's her. She's a beautiful girl. This stinker apparently just blew up her tub, so we're pulling her out to look at her. This is Mifa. She is also 4 years old now, or about to be. She's a fire champagne, and I am a sucker for champagne. If you know me, you know this. But I just love the sootiness that the champagne brings. I love their ringers. There's just not a lot that I don't like about a good champagne. And then there's this guy. Cannot forget him. He is what we think is a blade lesser. It's hard to know because he's obviously got some wires crossed here. He's my baby though. He's got no eyes, but I tell you, it does not slow him down. He's one of my strongest eaters. Hopefully he'll be able to be a good ambassador. He's just such a cutie. But I love me some lesser. I know it gets a little overused here and there, but definitely a favorite of mine. Oh, buddy. I'm not going to get old Snosberry out here, but I figured this was a pretty good example of going into blue, if that's something you haven't seen before. So here, you can see his eyes are starting to get that blue haze over him. So that tells me he's going to go into shed. And because I know him, I can also tell, oh, he's got poop on his head too. That's real pretty. Pete's sake. But I can also tell just by looking at him, he's dull through here. So that also tells me that he's gonna be shedding here soon. But eyes are usually your best telltale. Here's another neat one too. This is our only female micro scale. So hopefully this year she'll be able to get some more micro scale for us and just have a small project of micro scale and maybe scaleless if I start feeling froggy enough. We'll see. It's a pipe dream, but we shall see. Here's this little guy that we made available this week too. This is the blackhead lavender albino het pied male. He's going into blue though, so he's slightly ugly at the moment, but this is him. He'll be electric looking here in about a week. So I'm not real good at talking genes yet. I just like to show things off. But one thing I will say is if you decide that you want to give breeding a try, the biggest tip that I can probably give is breed for what you like. Because at the end of the day, we can't guarantee always that somebody's going to want what we've made. So you may as well like it if it's going to be stuck in your collection. That's probably my biggest thing. I realized I haven't shown an update on the banner in a while. So there's all these stickers. We need more. Another big debate too that I see a lot, and I don't understand why it's as big of a debate as it turns into, is tubs versus enclosures. We actually do use both. Don't see this room and think that everything is in tubs. Actually, in my daughter's room, we have a few enclosures. In our kitchen, we have quite a few enclosures still. We handpick the animals that go in those because we, as well as I'm sure a lot of people that have also tried both, have found that there are certain single animals that can thrive in an enclosure, and there are some that just can't. I never really had any issues with animals in enclosures until I received a proven female from a big breeder that we all know, but I'm not putting names out because nothing was wrong with her. But I didn't have racks at the time, and I tried to put her in an enclosure. I decked it out a few different ways for her to try and make her feel more comfortable with all the clutter she could ask for, all the hide everything. I tried so many things, and she would not eat. Didn't matter. She wouldn't take live. She wouldn't take frozen. The day that I got my rack set up and ready for them to move in, I moved her in, and within 3 days, she was crushing frozen thawed like it was nobody's business. And ever since then, I haven't had any problem with her. I think she was just that uncomfortable, having probably been born and raised in a tub and getting thrown into an enclosure where she could feel still like people were watching her. So it's one of those where I see both sides, but I don't. There are definitely certain animals that thrive better to me in enclosures, but I find all these ball pythons do so much better in tubs. But if you're just going to have a few, there's no reason to have a rack. I would just stick to an enclosure. Maybe in the next video, we'll see. Maybe in the next video I'll take you across and we can look at some of the other enclosures, how we have them set up. Because we do have a couple ball pythons out in enclosures, a couple boas, a couple colubrids. So maybe we can look at those setups. But just another thing to keep in mind. I mean, especially if you're getting animals from big breeders, just know that you might have a bit of a not really disconnect, but it might be a slow kickoff for them to start eating if they go right into an enclosure, especially if it's not cluttered enough or, to the species specific needs. But I've also had some that came from big breeders, went in enclosures, and did absolutely fine. So to me, it depends on the animal. I sit on both sides. I love the tubs. I love enclosures. I think they're both great. So you'll never see me saying no to either of them. All right. Now that my voice probably put all of you to sleep in boringness, um, I'm gonna go ahead. My face is flush from being in here, so I'm gonna go cool off and go to bed because it's almost 10 o'clock now. So I'm gonna go have dinner, go to bed, and yeah, we'll see you guys. See you guys soon. Keep on crushing it, and we'll see you around.